Hello everyone, today we're going to do a front-facing portrait. In life you'll rarely draw a model facing you straight on, however it's just really good to know how to go about it. So I'm going to draw this lady here. What I'm going to look for first of all is just the outer angles. They are movable, they're not fixed, so what they're going to give me is just a good base for me to find the brow line. Okay, so I'm just going to, if you've got a picture, you can just sort of like put your pencil and just draw, and then you can mimic the same line. But if you've got a model in front of you, you can just hold up your pencil to get the angles. Okay, but this is just very, very loose. I tend to do from the cheekbone down to the jaw. All it does is just give me a nice framework to work within. Okay, and then what I want then is the brow line. So I'm just going to guess it's here. You're already, if I do this, it helps me kind of like place the portrait on the paper, so I know where I'm going and I can know what I'm working within. And then the next thing I'm looking for, I've already slightly drawn it on here, is for the bridge. On a photograph it's it's quite hard to see sometimes because digital photographs just flatten an image, but you'll probably see it more clearly in life. So when I'm doing the brow line, I tend to do it's like the median line. Okay, so it's kind of like just getting the it's kind of like just sitting, sometimes it's the highest part of the brow, it's whatever's the most dominant element of the brow, and from there I'm going to get the bridge, because my nose will start from the bridge. Okay, and maybe I'll just move over a little bit, and I'm looking at the, when it comes to distance, it's just I'm looking once again for the feel of it. I can keep contact with the paper as well, that just helps me out a little bit. Okay, and also notice we're starting to point down. What we're going to do is we start here and then we're going to work down, 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 and then going to come back up again. So it's all pointing the direction we want to go. Next I'm looking for the nose. I always kind of refer to it as like a kipper tie. Where I'm going to, I want to capture it as a kind of like the protruding bit, the three-dimensional prominent element of the nose. So I'm not, even though on this image it's kind of like these angles are kind of like very dominant, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for here, it tends to be kind of like midway through the nostrils, okay? And again, when it comes to distance, you've got to kind of like judge by eye. Once again, you're the map maker, okay? You can see how far I need to travel in relation to how deep I've had to go with the bridge. Okay, so that's sort of like, that'll do. And I'm looking now for the angle of the nostrils to the base of the nose. Again, you can just sit that on there. So when it starts to look like a kipper tie, okay? And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to box in the nostrils. So I'm looking where the nostrils are, I can round it off a little bit, in relation to the base of the nose. So it's a little bit higher, and every individual, it will vary just slightly differently. So this is just a little bit higher than the base of the nose. Okay. And then I'm going to come around this line, and I want to just get the nostrils in there. Here it goes, a little bit higher. Okay. And that allows me then to very, very swiftly just draw in the nostrils, so I can put it kind of like a bit of a softer line in there, round off a little bit, and it comes down a little bit within that boxed area, and that's going to be very useful because I'm already getting the three-dimensional elements of it. Okay, then I'm going to do the philtrum. I think I've called it the Velcro on the sheet there. That tends to be the width at the base of the nose, and then it's kind of like, for everybody it varies, so it can become straight down, sometimes it fans out. mainly interested in the sort of like those, the prominent lines that come down. A little bit of guesswork here because they're just outside, because this photograph is just kind of like a little bit faint. So, but what that gives me is then, as I come down, is the width of the Cupid's bow here. And again, the distance I'm judging in relation to the nose. So one bit leads to the next bit. Okay, so I'm just going to, I've got the width of it, and I can just do then the depth of it as well. And then when it comes to the mouth, because I've sort of boxed in my nostrils already, I can see where my mouth sits in relation to those boxed in nostrils. And I just want that kind of like that prominent line going through. Again, I'm just going to see, well, where is it in relation to that, the Cupid's bow and the dip coming down. And then I can just mimic the shape. Where does this come in relation to there? So it goes as far as the lip itself in relation to the nostril. Okay. The bottom lip is much fuller, but I'm not going to draw it in the way that I've drawn. Sorry, I'm just going to I can just put the softer line there. I'm not going to draw it as a solid form in the way I've done the top lip. I want to keep it loose. So I'm going to kind of like go back to circling like we do in as if we were drawing an apple. I'm going to circle that bottom lip, and what I want to do is circle down and get under the lip, this little area here that goes in. The reason I'm not going to solidly draw the lip is because I want it's fleshy. I want it to be, you to be able to kind of open it, and that's a little bit freer. But anyway, I've got this kind of a little bit underneath. By getting that, I get the base of the lip, but also I get my little introduction to the chin that links it to. Okay, and you can just sort of see what's the movement I have to do. Oh, hello, there's Scout going. The movement I have to do to get the chin. And I can just, if I need to use more angles, just to see where it sits in relation to the mouth. I can put it in there. Okay. So you can see already my framework, I'm much higher than what I did originally, but that was just so I could actually see where it's going to like loosely sit. Okay, I'm going to ignore Scout. I'm going to go back up to the brows. Okay, here I'm going to just loosely get the shape of the brow. I'm just going to use the side of my pencil. I think we've probably got the bin man coming for the bin, so he's going to bark all the way. I'm just going to have to talk over him. Okay, so I'm going to loosely follow the shape. Again, I'm as far as I'm going is in relation to the angle of the bridge, and then I'm just going to box them in. As long as the other dog doesn't bark down here, then I think we're okay. Okay, so I've got my brows, and I just did them by loosely putting them on the side, like so, and then drawing around them. Now the shape I'm looking for now is this area here. It's a little bit like a triangle, and that's the angle, the shape that's just inside the bridge, and I'm looking at it in relation to the bridge, so it's a little bit, you need to come a bit higher up, you need to go over there. Okay, and I'll do the same on the other one, although both, no two eyes are the same. There will be little variation. So I'm going to look into this shape here. Scouty coming down. You might say hello and go, God, and have a bark now. Is that what you're going? Hello, Scouty. Hello, darling. Okay. So I've got that little area here, and now I'm going to look for this area here. And because I've got my brow, I can just feel my way, start to see the shape of that. And then I'm looking for how far from the brow do I have to go in this central joining bit. So I'm slightly making up these shapes, but I'm just breaking it down. I'm not doing it as one big shape initially. I'm just feeling my way, because some people's, eyes are a little deeper, sometimes a little shallower, but it's just really good just to kind of just to break it up a little bit like that. But what that's given me is the top of the eyelid, because a lot of us will forget the eyelid. We'll think about the eye, we focus on the eye, and the eyelid is a really important part of that too. Okay, so from there I can start to see what the shape of the eyelid is. I've got that upper line. Oh, there goes the other job, the bin mini. Okay, so now I want to, so I know how far I want to go, I'm kind of going to just circle here, and I'll do that the same one here. So that's as far as my eye will go. Right, I'm going to work up from the base now. So I've got the top of the eye, and I'm going to work up. What I'm looking for now, this is where it's really great to have got the nostrils in. I'm going to get this little kind of like loose fleshy area that comes down the side, and I want to and that goes up to this point again, and it's like a little butterfly coming up. And I'm going to do the same here, but it helps me look at what the distance is and if the length of my nose is right. There's Ruru going out to bark at what's going on out there. Hello, Ruru. And now, because I want to find the base of the eye, I've got a smaller distance to travel. So it's like 1, 2 up to the base of the eye. 1, 2. And that also gives me like an introduction to the cheek, but also the bottom of the socket of the eye. Okay? So we're beginning to think about where the eye sits here. Okay? So I've got the bottom of the eye, and now I'm going to go and join up from. So again, it's like a pincer movement. I've got the top, and then I've got the bottom. And you can just adjust as you feel you need to. And when you're drawing and I could do, a little bit more detail, I'm just going to keep a little bit basic right now. When I'm actually drawing the pupil, I could just draw a circle, but what I'm looking for is the shape that's left. Because that's really, we could just draw a circle in there, but there's actually, this will help you position it. And again, I've got the soft bit in the centre, and then I'm looking for that little triangle. So lots of sort of like triangles and arrows, because everything is pointing down. And then, but I'm breaking things up to kind of like rounded triangles all over the place. Okay. Again, I'm looking at this shape here. And I'll do the same here. So I've got the soft bit and then moving in. I'm going to put it a little bit higher to allow for the inner part of the eye, fleshy part. Okay. So we've got the kind of like the main structure, and from here I can see they've got little creases, and I can add those and shadows and what have you. Right. I've got enough information here now to start to work my way out. I can think about the angle going up, so it's from this image, it's sort of like, maybe I could go a little bit higher there and just get to the hairline. Okay, and I'll do the same here and feel my way, just straighten up if I'm a little bit out, and I can see the distance I need to travel to get to the side of the hair. Okay. Also, when you've got your side of your mouth, you can start to see, I tend to go at this angle here to go and meet the jaw. I can see how far I need to travel to meet the side of the face. Okay, so we're coming in here and we're going to go follow that angle. It's pretty much the same. How far do we need to travel to come out from there to the side of the mouth, side of the face, and start to link things up. So it's a little bit of sort of like goes under the chin a little bit, because when you're older, you're kind of like you don't have these kind of like chiseled straight lines. You have this kind of like, it gets a little bit softer and the lines get a little bit blurred. Okay, so we're coming down here again and we're just going to look at the shape of what's going on. I can use a little bit more information around the eyes. And it just helps me see, well, what's the actual happening in relation to that if I just need a little bit more information. Okay, so that's actually coming around and joining the neck. Okay, when it comes to the neck, well, this is the hairline coming in, really, the hair rather than the edge of the neck. But I'm just going to, see where it is in relation to here, which I've drawn here, and then I can start to put that in. And judge the distances from what I've drawn before. Okay. And that's a little distracting there, but it's probably in the right place. What I can also do when it comes to the forehead, I can start to see, well, what's the shape? How do I mimic that shape? I don't need to go quite so high up. And then what's the shape of the side? It allows me to think about the shape of the side as well. So every little bit of information just helps us move us along. Can line up the ear. Where is that? Oh, it's just a little bit here, and then we just see a little bit of a lobe. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, have I got a pencil ready? Yes, I have. I'm just going to draw in the lines that I want to keep. I don't have to draw every single line. I go back and usually start at the brow. I always start at the brow line, and it's a good place to go back to. And I'm just going to put some, just a few marks. I tend to put the kind of like the bridge of the nose in, but I don't draw the entire kind of like length of the nose. Okay, I've got my nostrils here, so I'm just going to, if I don't do a straight line, like a fluid line, then I'll just stroke my lines in. Again, I don't want that to go, it doesn't need to go all the way around, because this is where, flesh meets and there's creases, so we're just going to leave it kind of like quite fluid. Here, this is where it's kind of, there's light hitting here, and there's light as we join the lip, because it's protruding, it's coming out, so I'm just going to focus on where the shadow is, and that's what I tend to do there. And again, I'm pointing in the direction again. When it comes to lips, I tend to, if I'm painting, I'll just fill that in with a kind of like a swift brush stroke. But with drawing, I want to just kind of like probably, follow the contours of the lip. So I've got shadow here, and I can come out a little bit because I want to show that this is full. I've got shadow again, so I'm going to just taper that in, just changing my angle slightly, and it's kind of like fuller here. So I just kind of like give a little nod to that. Go back up to, there he goes again. Go back up to the eye. If this was a really drawing that I was being really neat with, I'd have another piece of paper and I'd be kind of like leaning on that, okay? So I'm not going to put in individual eyelids, but that's a choice that I'm making. It could be something you would like to do if you've got an image where you can see individual eyelids. I think, eyelashes, sorry. I think, most of us, when it comes to detail, we can't take everything in. So it's good to just do things in kind of like in shorthand, really, because that's, you know, it's as much as you know, anybody can take in at one point when you're looking at a face. It's mainly, you know, you're just getting the overall impression of a face. Okay, and I'll just do the same on the other side. Are they lined up? I'm not sure if I'm kind of like got them lined up that well, but never mind. If I kind of like slightly off, then I can just, at this point, I can just take things up a little bit. But I'm not quite sure how lined up. Is that pretty lined up as well? Okay, I am not too bad. I'm not too far off then. And you could just keep sharpening your pencil as you go as well. So I've got a few folds here, and I want to just show that with a little bit of loose shading. But let's get that eyebrow in. To keep it nice and kind of like fluid. This is, I want to keep the lines alive because you know, I want to draw somebody that's got some life in them. And then I'll just sort of like fill that in. When I kind of like come to doing any more detail, you know, depth, then that's the kind of like, that's the most important thing. Once you've laid down your lines, it's about actually getting depth in there, which is just stroking your lines in, following the contours, like over the cheeks, not under the eye. As if you were kind of like travelling over a landscape. You want to keep it soft and fluid, following direction. I'm just going to, I've got light coming down, so I'm just going to focus on the light before I focus on the iris. It's coming down the centre, just going to make a similar, and it's just shape, you know, so we do want to keep it simple. Okay, I could keep going, and I'm going to stop there, and again, you could just sort of like add and fill in, have a mixture of fluid lines. And short lines. And let's just get under the nose a little bit. I will stop in